Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Dan Time Podcast. I'm your host, Dan McArdle. Thank you for listening to the show, for subscribing, Dan Time Pod across the socials. Follow the YouTube channel as I will be adding some never-before-seen video episodes very soon. Those of you who do subscribe have begun to see this material finally see the light of day. Coming up on 50 episodes of this project, it has been quite the journey. Some surprise guests, some hidden gems, some not so hidden gems, if you know what I mean. And today, to celebrate 50 straight weeks of Dan Time episodes, plus some bonus episodes over the past year, I have put together a special treat for you. Maybe you remember some of these guests. Maybe they were before your time, before your Dan time, if you're just joining us. As you're about to hear, I'm bringing forward some special moments of the show. If you missed any of these in their full form, go back and check it out. You've got another hour to drive, so why not let Dan Time carry you to your destination? Okay, let's kick it off with a performance from Dan Sharp, episode number 31 on March 10th. Do you have a song that you'd like to perform, or do you have the guitar handy?
I can definitely perform a song.
This is,
and I do have a guitar handy.
What do you feel like playing tonight?
I think
Tonight for me. I think it's still afternoon the next day for you.
it's mid-afternoon. I'll play a little bit of Man Don't Cry, maybe just a verse and a chorus. And this song was, we talked about it. It touches on some heavier themes. It really did come about from just observing a guy that I knew reasonably well, just not have the ability to kind of communicate, and I just watched him struggle, and he just needed some guidance as a younger human, I think, and it just left him a little incapable later. But this is a song called Man Don't Cry, and it goes like this. Too soon as soon a mantle, he built a stone walls high. Walls whose waters falling down like his father, walking out on his mother, broken on where he still resides. Inside his eyes is a place he tries to hide, but there's no quarter. By day, he's building an empire, betrayed again by night. He's breaking, he's faded, a double standing life, and he wonders why. The man don't cry. Oh, he wonders why. The man don't cry.
Good stuff, Dan. Comedian Dan Altano, episode number 14, November 12th.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one of my favorite stories with stand-up. I was probably 3 years into stand-up. I was staying with my wife's family in Connecticut. And so I got a call from this booker who I really wanted to get in with, because he owned a lot of different clubs and things like that. And he said, "Can you host a show tonight in Atlantic City, New Jersey?" I look at the GPS, it's 5 hours away. That night, opening, so you're hosting. Hosting is hard because people think you just work there, like you sweep up and then you go up on stage, and they think you're like the bar manager, and they give you a mic to start the show. So it's not a great position to be in. So I'm 5 hours away, and I said yes. And my wife's like, really? You're going to go 5 hours to host? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go do it. I went, drove 5 hours, had a really great set. And the next weekend, the manager said, can you come host in Atlantic City? So at this point, I was in New York City. I got on a Greyhound bus. I sat on the bus for hours in traffic, did the show, came back middle of the night. Next weekend, do you want to come back to Atlantic City? Sure. I kept saying yes. Probably the fifth weekend in a row. He said, hey, the host just backed out. Could you be here in 10 minutes? And I said, no, I'm in New York City. He goes, wait a minute. You don't live in Atlantic City? And I go, no, I've been driving, crazy. He's like, you keep saying yes. And I was like, yeah, this is a good opportunity. And ever since then, he has been, his name is Emilio Savone. He owns New York Comedy Club. He owns Stanford Comedy Club. He owns Pinch Records, which signed me. He knew right there, he's like, oh, this is someone who loves this so much. They're willing to just drop everything and do it. And so most people would have said, I'm not driving 5 hours to do 15 minutes on stage for however much money. But because I did that, he saw something. He saw how dedicated I was. Although now when he tells the story, he'll say something like, oh, I love Dan. He's always so available.
Some people look at the short-term discomfort, inconvenience, expense, pain, and however you want to package it and say, nah, I'm not going to make that drive. Let me wait for the next offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so easy to say no to that. It sounds insane. And I think the best part of it is I could say stand up, and you can relate it to a lot of things, right? A lot of different things where I needed to learn how to perform in front of an audience like that. And I could say that with so many shows that I took that I probably shouldn't have taken on paper. But no, I got to go do a show at a firehouse in front of a bunch of alpha firemen, or I have to do a show at this Italian place that's only Italians, or a PTA meeting that they bring a comedian for some reason. And none of it sounds glamorous, but you learn how to adapt to those situations and get better so that when you're in front of a big audience, you almost feel like you're not fazed by it as much because you've gone through so much, you've gone through all the hell gigs. And if you look at the stand-up comedians that really make it, the ones that their names, usually it happens in their 40s, right? It happens when they're a little bit older because they've gotten to a point where they've been through so much with stand-up that they're like, what can you do to me at this point? I'm not going to be nervous about this situation. I've gone through 10 situations like this. And so you need to go through hell gigs, which, by the way, become the funniest stories after. But you need to go through those to then actually, have the tough skin to make it.
Dana Perry, May 12th, episode number 40.
It's important to hold space for the things that are just really, really heavy, really heavy. And I mean, just really heavy. And I think sometimes, we a lot of times try to put a salve on it, we kind of we don't want to talk about it, or we don't want to, or I want to do something about it, especially if it's with things like, just the extra thoughts that you don't want to have, or the extra painful things, the things that are really painful, the shit that's really, really just in there, and I think it's really difficult sometimes to be okay with being in that place because it feels torturous, and we want out, and I think a lot of times the emotion of the fears and the sadness, it feels like torture in itself, and we want out, But I think that when you actually meet it and you embrace it and you hold it, you kind of end up seeing a mirror, so to speak, things all your answers kind of look you in the face, as it were, if you're kind of allow yourself to meet it. I suppose if that song kind of reference, I suppose that's how I would put it in a general sort of nutshell. I mean, and it was just a time in my life where I really needed it. There was too much, really horrible things going on, and I was struggling so hard, but I needed to hold space for the beauty of where I was, kind of like we were talking earlier, when it's kind of a mess, and as an adult, our messes are really messy. They're extra messy than when they were when you were a kid. but we still kind of experience them as children, I think. Like the thing inside you is a child that's experiencing it. And it kind of feels that way. So I think that, that song for me kind of holds space for that child to just kind of, it's okay. You can feel that. That's okay to feel that. Write it all out, sing it all out. But at the same time, like everything's constantly moving, and that's kind of part of the inspiration of that other song is everything's in constant motion. So be still, cry. That's okay. And there's an evolution constantly happening, no matter what you're doing. So it's either going to move forward or you're going to die, So, and that's kind of how all things are. And if you're not going to die, you're probably going to get through it. So, and it's weirdly nihilistic, kind of weirdly
Right.
dark, but it kind of comforting to me. Well, I'm not going to die. Like, well, it hasn't killed me yet. So I'm probably going to get through it. I'm not just going to sit on this couch for 40 years, So something's going to move, So
Right.
it's kind of what it does for me anyway,
Well,
So,
I think Dan's bass line opens the song and it kind of guides you into it.
She showed me that the whole of existence lies right there in the pit of my gut. Showed me that all there is and ever was and ever will be is the life inside of me. It made itself known, then I promptly threw it up and out in every which way. And then I left myself alone right there, crying, shivering, naked, feeling strong, feeling blessed in my true form. And the music keeps on playing, whether you can hear it or not. 7 billion stories, everybody singing at once. And oh, the great alone show me how to see. But no one can sing this part with me.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that was so that was one from the Reclamation album. It was an earlier album, and on that one, Jenna Jonas actually played bass and drums on that one. And she came up with that lick,
Oh,
and
wow.
we just loved it so much that we asked Dan, we're like, Dan, do you mind just like Danifying that lick and just like adopting that for you? And he totally not only embraced it, but then like had some Dan embellishments for later in the song too, and it was so good. I'm like, I think we need this song's just all about bass. And I,
Yeah.
and I asked him kind of last minute, and I was like, I know we're just kind of playing straightforward here, and I don't think I want to lead guitar on this one this time. I kind of just want to hear the bass move around, and of course, he nailed it. It was so pretty. I was so happy.
The one and only Danny Rubio, episode number 16 from November 26th. And you also like, here I go again, but
Frank Sinatra. Yeah, I know. I took it out of your mouth, didn't I?
the crooners, the Sinatra,
Love
Dean
'em.
Martin.
Love them. Love them. Look, in high school, my license plate said Sinatra. So that kind of like explains to you. And people were like, who's this Sinatra guy? And it's in Birmingham, Alabama. I feel like that has to just do like with who I was born to and where I kind of grew up, my love for like those jazz standards and those dudes. I do love those crooners, man. That's my stuff. To answer your question about the song about New Orleans, I'm gonna have to say like one that was made popular by Louis Armstrong. Here, I'll just sing it for you. Won't you come along with me down that Mississippi? We'll take the boats to the land of dreams. Steam down the river down to New Orleans. Oh, Basin Street, it is the street where all the boys and good girls meet down in New Orleans. It's the land of dreams. You never know how nice it seems or just how much it really means. That one's called Basin Street Blues. Stop it. Oh, stop it. This old thing, stop it, Dan.
Folks, that was your price of admission right there. You had to wait about an hour, however long we've been talking, but I hope you made it this far. Wow, I'm going to have you back on just so you can sing us, you can regale us, or what's the word I'm looking for? Serenade.
I don't know. Serenade. I don't know what the word is, but I'll do it. If you need me on somewhere to sing a song, I will do it.
Comedian Daniel Eachus, episode number 12 from October 29th.
Did a commercial for Dollar Shave Club, and it was I don't know what you call them, but I kind of call them like ensemble commercials. It's like the commercial where there's just like a lot of different lead actors in it, not one single person. And so we all kind of got cast together, and we all auditioned for many different roles. So we didn't know exactly which role we were going to be playing, or if we'd even auditioned for the role that we had ended up ultimately getting. And this one was filmed at the Universal Studios backlot. And as someone who grew up in California my whole life, I had gone to Universal Studios, the theme park, so many times. And that backlot tour, if you've ever been, that's like the biggest, best thing there. And it was something that I always like just dreamed about, being able to like film a movie or film something in the Universal Studios backlot. So sure enough, I get cast in this Dollar Shave Club commercial, and they're like, we're filming in the Universal Studios backlot. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I get there on set. They're like, we're going to do our costume fitting there. It's going to be great. You'll find out what role you're going to play. Perfect. So I'm with all these, like, I mean, it's all dudes in there. It's all Dollar Shave Club people. So it's like a bunch of guys in there, and one at a time people are going in, and then they're coming out in their costume. And it's, it's, if you've seen a Dollar Shave Club commercial, they're always funny. So, guys were coming out just wearing like, oh yeah, I'm like, nothing crazy, just like, oh, I guess I'm like a sports guy, and his hair's crazy, and he's in like, a half a jersey with his stomach exposed, and we're all laughing and high-fiving each other and having a good time. I just happen to be last. And so they're all like, oh, I wonder what you're going to be, Daniel, because I saw the people the roles I had auditioned for, they already came out. So I was like, I guess I didn't audition for the role I got, because I've seen them all in this room already. So I go into the wardrobe room, and the lady just goes, well, here it is. And she just hands me, it's basically a Speedo, skin tight Speedo, the same color as my skin. And I was like, okay, so what else? And she's like, that's it. And I'm like, that's what, so like, but do I just wear my shirt? And she's like, no, nothing else, just that. And I was like, what's my role? And she's like, she looks at a paper. She goes, you are your man seeing how high you can pee in the shower. I was like, okay, all right. So I guess I'm supposed to be naked. They're like, yeah, you're supposed to be naked, I guess, for the commercial. So I just go out there in a Speedo, and I'm like, I guess I can't get any weirder than this. I go on the set, we go to film, and it's a backlot. It's not a real house. So they created a bathroom in there for me to film in, like just in the movie studio. Side note, we were randomly in the studio. They're filming all the new, like some reboot episodes of Will and Grace or something. But anyway, they emptied it, and they created this bathroom in there for me to film in. And what I didn't think about until the water turned on was that because it's not a real bathroom, it doesn't have hot water. It's just a hose. So it's freezing water coming out of there. Also, there's no actual drain. I mean, it's a tub, but it's just like concrete under, so the water's not going anywhere. So they had to fill the drain with concrete. So the water's just building up to my ankles. I'm like, oh, this is early onset frostbite is what I'm feeling right now, I'm pretty sure. I'm freezing cold in a thong, or in a Speedo. Right. And then they give me this hose that's filled with fake pee. And they're like, yeah, so this is what you're going to hold, and you're going to do this motion. They give me the action. You're like, pee's going to come out, and there's going to be pee all over the wall. And like, we're going to do a bunch of takes doing a bunch of different things. I'm freezing. I'm like, this is so weird. I don't have any lines. This is kind of crazy. They stopped me after the first take, and they're like, sorry, this is a long story. And they're like, Daniel, sorry, we can, every time your Speedo is getting pink when it gets wet, and we can tell you're wearing a Speedo, which you're obviously not supposed to be, so we're gonna have to give you something smaller. And
Smaller.
I mean, I was like, smaller. And this lady just comes out with a literal thong and goes, you got to put this on. I was like, right now? They're like, yeah. And I was like, I was not mentally prepared for this day at all. It was like 6 a.m. too. I'd already been up for like 3 hours. Okay, so I put on this thong. We filmed this commercial. Honestly, one of the hardest acting things I've ever done in my life. I know a lot of times we kind of click through commercials. We don't really pay attention to, but we're usually asked to do so many things in such a small shot. And this was one that was like especially difficult because of how freezing I was. And they were pumping in fog to make it look steamy. And the director just kept telling me, hey, just remember, it's hot, feels great, it's warm. It's like 40-degree water. I'm sitting there.
It's anything but hot.
It's everything but hot. My nipples are hard. It's like not a good feeling. I'm wearing a thong. And there was this like sort of moment of clarity that I had at one point where they were laughing. Like, it was great. They said, cut.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, they were having a great time. They cut it. And they're like, hold on, we're going to take a look at some stuff. And I had this moment of clarity where there's like fake pee all over the wall. I'm up to my ankles in water. I'm wearing a thong and there's cameras all around me. And I was like, never in my life did I ever think that this would be my Universal Studios backlot experience.
I'm sure the average person didn't realize that there could possibly be that much mystery that goes into an experience like that of, half an hour before you couldn't have dreamed up this scenario, this outfit that you're in, and here you are. A lot of
times they don't tell us what our role is going to be or exactly what we're doing. I mean, I've had it happen multiple times where, you're being sort of chauffeured around everywhere by all these different people. And, meet so-and-so, and this is the actor. Okay, great. But hold on, we're going to take you. You're going to sign this thing. And okay. And then you get on set and they're like, okay, ready? And action. And you're like, what am I doing? I don't even know what I'm doing. They'll be like, cut. Okay. Did anyone give them a script? I'm like, there's a script? Like, that's happened so many times.
All right. To sing us out here from episode number 30, Dan Zlotnick.
Yeah, so this one is a song that I wrote. I wrote the music on the bus. So I had that little guitar and I was out in, somewhere in the Southwest, not pitching well. And I wanted to come home and just be with my friends and family. And I didn't write the lyrics till I got home, but yeah, it was one of those times where I was like, I just got this riff that keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, and I know there's something there, so I'm gonna let it marinate, and the time was right to write the lyrics. So this is a song called Coming Home. See the world, they say, regret it if you stay. Go out and find yourself, so I'm on my way. Whole life ahead, so much I haven't seen. Time is on my side, chasing my dreams, or so it seems. There's no place I could go, no mountain or open road, countryside or Broadway show that compares to coming home to you. I've seen the city lights, slept under stars at night. I swam the clearest ocean and drank the finest wine. But I'm just passing time. The moon is following me through a bus window. I wanna bring it with me all the way home. Man, I need to come home. There's no place I could go. No mountain, rolling road, countryside or Broadway show that compares to coming home to you. I'm coming home. Coming home.
All right, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.